Hey YouTube, this is domaug. I wanted to show you guys my current, as of October 2019, build for my Guru control deck, Subterrors, which is really only 4 Subterrors in the deck, but that's not the point. So I wanted to show you my current build as I'm currently testing it. So play 3 copies of Guru. Obviously it's your control card. You want to see this as early as possible. It can help you deal with some problematic monsters that aren't link monsters by flipping them face down, and it searches any Subterror card in your deck. And I play 3 copies of Subterror Fiendess. This is the best hand trap in the deck. It can negate any card or effect activation by flipping one of your Subterrors face down. You could send it from the field or your hand, which is also great. And it could also bring back monsters out of the grave or summon monsters from your hand. Play 1 copy of Subterror Nemesis Archer. This is kind of like it could spin back monsters to the deck that are face down if you have another Subterror in this battles. It's a pretty nice option to also dig for monsters if it gets destroyed from the field. And I played at 1 because you don't really need more than that. Some people play 2, but I like 1 right now. And then 1 copy of Umastryx. It's a big beater. It's not that hard to get out, but you only need 1 because it is a behemoth, and the behemoths are kind of clunky and big. But this could deal with problem monsters as well by targeting and banishing them. So that's pretty good. For the rest of the hand traps, I'm playing a bit of Spice that I saw in a Subterror group on Facebook. But we'll start with 3 Ash Blossom. This is not the Spice. This is the standard. You should be playing 3 of this. Playing 2 Ghost Ogres. Playing 2 Effect Veiler. And now the Spice that I saw. 2 Mana Dragon Zirnitron. So these would be Phantasmes if I owned Phantasmes. But these have been testing pretty well because my opponents have always wanted to target my back row and kill them. If your spell or trap card leaves the field by the opponent's effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you can set 1 spell or trap from your graveyard. If this is summoned this way, it gets banished when it leaves the field, but that's not important. The important part is that this is like a trigger effect from your hand that can bring back a spell or trap in the graveyard. It's been testing pretty well so far, but I would play Phantasmes if I owned them. They're prohibitively expensive at the moment. So now I'm going to move on to the spells. 3 Hidden City, this is a must-have. It flips once per turn you could flip a face-down Subterror that you control face up and trigger its effects if it has any. When you activate this, you can search any Subterror monster. That could help you get set up with your Guru presence. And it also negates attacks as well. If you have, once per turn, if you have a face-down Subterror and your opponent declares an attack, you can flip it face up and negate the attack. And that's very nice. Some people don't understand it has that attack negation effect, and it catches them by surprise. 3 Pot of Extravagance, but these are also expensive. Well, okay, yeah, but I think you need this a lot more than you need Phantasme. Although Phantasme is a fantastic choice, and I think you should play it if you have it, even though it might conflict with there can be only 1, it can fix your hands. And the sooner you see your core setup pieces, the better. Phantasme helps you with that. But I'm getting a bit on a tangent here. Pot of Extravagance, I think you absolutely have to play this if you want to be playing a competitive environment. It lets you draw 2 cards. That's the effect. You don't really go into your extra deck that much, so banishing cards from your extra deck is not a big deal in this deck. You absolutely should play it if you have it. I am also playing 3 Pot of Duality. Some people are playing 2. I think that's fine as well, but I'm liking 3 right now because you need the extra draws to help you get the pieces that you need. It does not conflict with Extravagance either, which is another nice benefit of it. You don't really special summon that often. To round out the spells, I play 2 Called by the Grave, and I play 1 Terraforming. Terraforming, I wish this were more than 1, but now we have to play just the 1. I don't play Necro Valley or Mystic Mine, but those are options that you could also play with Metaverse or set rotation if you want to. But I really do enjoy... I've been trying out the Necro Valley, but my local meta just really hasn't warranted yet that I play it because of their deck choices. But that's okay. It's if I wanted to play Necro Valley, I'd probably cut the Called by the Graves and put in a Necro Valley and a set rotation or something. But I like Called by the Grave as well because it could deal with problem monsters in the graveyard. It's almost like a DD Crow. It's pretty solid. I was playing DD Crow for a bit and I liked it, but now with Called by the Grave, it just has more utility, and I feel like it's better for my situation than DD Crow. And now for my trap lineup, we have the best trap in the deck, Subterror Final Battle. I'm playing 3 of this and none of the Cave Clash because I don't think you need Cave Clash. Cave Clash doesn't really do anything until you're already up, and this can help you turn the tide in a game. It can help you generate advantage by flipping your gurus or boosting your attack and killing over monsters. It also helps your effects go through. You could play this under Skill Drain. I was testing Skill Drain for a bit, but I ended up cutting it last minute and trying it without, and I really haven't missed it. But Skill Drain is an option, but the only thing is this becomes even more important when you're playing Skill Drain. So I think 3 is the perfect number. Play 3, there can be only one. It's a good flood trap, floodgate. It's a good floodgate trap card. It hits most of what the meta is now. Even though the meta is still kind of getting established, I think this is a really good choice. It slows a lot of the decks down right now, and it's pretty good to play. Some people might opt to play like Summon Limit, but I didn't really care for Summon Limit because my opponents would play around it easier. This has been just perfect for me. Every time I saw this, I had a really good chance to win. To round out my trap lineup, I play 2 Crackdown, and I play 3 Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment's a little bit of a commitment, but I want to control as much of the game as I can, and Solemn Judgment, I feel, has helped me out the most. I was going back and forth between Strikes and Judgment, but right now I'm playing Judgment. I think it's giving me more benefits lately than not. And Crackdown is good for taking some problematic monsters away. Like, you could take a Colossus, or you could take, I guess you could take like a Galatea or something like that. And I have it at 2 right now because honestly it hasn't really helped me out that much, but it's another good choice, and it could help generate some more advantage over your opponent. So that's the main deck. Now I'm going to move on to the extra deck. So to start out with my extra deck, I have 2 Dingirsu. These are if I take a Galatea or like a... Just mostly I'm taking Galateas and laying this over them and popping something or whatever, and then I keep this. But this is really the only target I have for Crackdown. I used to play 2 Kaina and 2 Hayate as well, but I ended up cutting them for more optimal choices that are actually relevant in our local meta right now. You might see that in a bit. I'm also playing 3 Chimeratech Megafleet Dragon. I don't play Cyber Dragon in my side deck as of now. I might change that if there are more Cyber Dragon players at my locals, but this is mainly to target like the Cyber Dragon decks, because there are like 1 or 2 people at my locals that play Cyber Dragon, and if they get out Infinity, it just makes it that much harder for me to deal with it, because they'll either negate my there can be only one, or they'll negate something that I need to establish a board presence, and this really just handles it, because it could tribute Cyber Dragon from any side of the field, and a Cyber Dragon monster actually. I also play 1 Fortress Dragon because I honestly didn't really have a lot of other choices. I I could have continued to play like Hayate and Kaina for the Crackdown targets, but this in my theory, this never came up in testing. It never came up, but I feel like it'll hit more of what I'm experiencing at my locals. It's a bit more specific, but you could still use it. And now I have some super poly targets for the rest of my extra deck. I'm playing 2 Predaplant Triphyoverutum. I don't know if that's how you say it. I'm not really good at plant names like that or whatever, but it's a pretty decent card. Mainly using it to take away 3 dark monsters. Dark monsters are pretty popular in the meta, and I feel like this is a pretty good hit to them. It's not the cheapest card either, but if you have it, I'd play it. I think it's worth it. 2 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. This is probably the choice I go into the most, and it's not bad. It's a pretty solid card to go into. It only requires 2 dark monsters on the field, but it could help you swing the tide of the game. Help you swing the swing the momentum in your favor. I play 2 Mudragon of the Swamp as well for like rogue matchups. This, I'm gonna be honest, this really doesn't come up that much since I've been playing it, but I kind of leave it in there because it's one of those situations that like it might help you, it might not. But right now I don't. Aside from putting back in Hayate and Kaina, that I don't really have anything to replace this with. And my last 3 cards are 2 copies of Violet Chimera and 1 copy of Guard Dragon Almarduke. Almarduke can use 3 link monsters, and that's really the only reason I play it. It's kind of like a filler, and then Violet Chimera, of course, for the Salamangreat matchups. But these are mainly to round it out. There really aren't any Salamangreat players at my locals, but there have been weeks where they've been like fluctuating back and forth between Salamangreat or another deck, so it is a threat that exists, and I'm trying to stay on top of it. I could also go over my side deck real quick, but this is a work in progress. I really haven't touched it much since last format, but this will change. So I'll just show you what my current side deck is. I'm playing 3 Lancia. This was good for like the Thunder Dragon matchups and like Orcust, and I'll still leave this in here because there's still some like banish centric decks going around in my locals, and I want to keep that in there for now. But this may be the first thing I cut if I don't see the need for it. Playing 2 Dino Wrestler Pankratops. It's a good card to remove certain threats in matchups that are just kind of lingering and giving me a hard time. It's a nice body to get out for free. It's a pretty solid rogue killing card. 3 Super Polymerization. I think with a deck like Guru Control, this has a lot of benefit. At least you should at least have this in your side deck, I think, if you're playing Guru Control, because it just gets you an extra monster to play with, and it could remove some threats. I was also thinking of siding Nibiru for removing threats, and that may end up being what replaces the Lancias in my side deck. But right now the Lancias are still in there. I am probably going to switch them to Nibiru if it tests better though. But as for Super Polymerization, this is just a blowout card if you play it the right way, and I think if you're playing Guru Control, you should at least have this in your side deck. I don't see really any reason to not play it. Now for the traps on the side deck, I play 3 evenly matched. This is kind of like it is a going second card, but it's also kind of a nice another blowout choice if I'm hitting the right deck with it. I haven't been thrilled with this in testing, but it's done well in those moments that I have seen it that I feel like I could keep it in right now. Then to round out the side deck, I have 3 Heavy Storm Duster and 1 Imperial Order. Heavy Storm Duster mainly hit the like back row decks and stuff that they set cards, and I know it's going to be like a handful, like the Orcust trap card and stuff like that. It's really just my choice over that or Twin Twisters or Cosmic Cyclone. That's like the kind of debate I've been going over with that card, which one to play. And right now it's Heavy Storm Duster, but really it could be either one. And I'm not crazy about discarding a card with Twin Twisters because I want to keep an advantage, but it has its merits for sure. And then for Imperial Order, I mainly play this because I really hate Sky Striker matchup, and it's, even though it's hit harder with Widow Anchor, there were times where my opponent just out-resourced me with looping his, like, jamming waves and his afterburners with multi-roll, and I just didn't see the answers I needed. He never needed a Widow Anchor or anything to really break my board down. That could be attributed more to me being a bad duelist and not really knowing how to play against the Sky Striker matchup. But in any case, that's why I dedicated one slot to Imperial Order, because I felt like it was going to be a blowout card against Sky Strikers, and that's a deck I've been heavily struggling with since I picked this deck up. But that's my deck for Guru Control. Let me know in the comments section if you have any thoughts or suggestions, or if you just want to make fun of the build that I'm using. But either way, I appreciate the feedback, and thanks for listening.